I sat in my private office on the top floor of Preston Tower, watching through the security feeds as my parents arrived for work. Same routine, different day. Dad with his worn briefcase, Mom clutching her discount store coffee, both heading to their small accounting firm on the third floor. 5 years ago, I'd sat at their dinner table trying to explain my real estate investment plans. Playing with buildings isn't a career, Dad had sneered. Get a real job like your sister or get out. I got out. And then I got busy. Miss Preston, my assistant's voice came through the intercom. The rent increase notices have been delivered to all tenants, including Preston and Associates Accounting. Perfect timing, I smiled, checking my Rolex, the one I'd bought after my first billion. Security feed to their office, please. The wall screen flickered to life just as Mom opened the envelope. I watched her face transform from morning fatigue to shock as coffee splashed across her desk. Richard, she called to Dad. Richard, you need to see this. Dad hurried over, straightening his bargain rack tie. What is it? Another utility increase. No, Mom's voice trembled. Look at the signature. I zoomed in the camera, savoring the moment. Dad's face went pale as he read. Effective immediately, your rent will increase by 100%. Regards, Emma Preston. Owner, Preston Real Estate Group. Your lazy daughter. This is impossible, Dad muttered, flipping through the pages. Emma's probably working retail somewhere, not owning the building you're standing in? I spoke, activating the office intercom system I'd had installed for exactly this moment. Along with half the commercial real estate in downtown. They both jumped, looking around their outdated office as my voice filled the space. Emma. Mom whispered. Hello, Mother. Father. I kept my voice professional. I trust you received my notice about the rent adjustment? This is some kind of joke, Dad blustered. You can't own Preston Tower. You're lazy, unmotivated, a disappointment. I laughed softly. Funny how those labels disappear when you're signing someone's lease. But how? Mom sank into her chair. Remember when you kicked me out for wasting time studying real estate markets instead of getting an accounting degree like Sarah? I referenced my successful older sister. I was actually building what would become the largest commercial real estate group in the region. Dad grabbed his phone, probably to Google my company. Preston Real Estate Group. No, this can't be your daughter's company? The one that owns not just this building but the entire business district. I smiled as realization dawned on his face. Amazing what a lazy person can accomplish when properly motivated. Through the security feed, I watched them frantically checking their phones, discovering headline after headline about my success. The rent increase stands, I continued. Though I should warn you, it's just the beginning. Sometimes the best way to teach people about real estate is to let them experience it, personally. Oh, and one more thing, I added through the intercom, enjoying their stunned expressions. The building's undergoing renovations. Your floor first. Hope you don't mind the noise. On cue, jackhammers started pounding above their office. A symphony of construction I'd specifically scheduled for maximum impact. You can't do this, Dad shouted at the ceiling. We have rights as tenants. Actually, I pressed another button and their lease agreement appeared on their computer screens. Section 8, Paragraph 3 gives the owner full authority to conduct renovations at any time. You should read contracts more carefully, Father. Isn't that what you always told me? Mom was frantically dialing her phone. Probably calling my sister Sarah, their financial safety net and perpetual favorite. If you're calling Sarah, I continued, she can't help. Her accounting firm's lease is up for review next month. In my other building. That stopped Mom mid-dial. You own Riverside Plaza too? I own everything within 5 blocks. Though you'd know that if you'd bothered to read any of the business articles about me over the past 3 years. Through the security feed, I watched Dad pacing, his face cycling through shades of red. This is revenge. Revenge. I laughed. No, Father. This is business. The business you said I was too lazy to understand while you were stuck doing tax returns for small companies. I pressed another button and their office lights flickered. Oh, sorry about that. We're also upgrading the electrical systems. There might be some interruptions. Emma, please. Mom tried. We can talk about this. Like we talked about my future. Like we talked about my potential. Or like we talked about my laziness when I spent 18 hours a day studying market trends instead of following Sarah into accounting. The jackhammers got louder. You know what's funny? I continued, watching them wince at the noise. While you were telling everyone I was finding myself, I was building an empire. While you were bragging about Sarah's junior partner promotion, I was buying my 10th skyscraper. Dad slumped in his chair, finally looking defeated. What do you want? Want? I have everything I want. Multiple buildings, billions in assets, and now. I smiled. The pleasure of watching you experience life as my tenants. I clicked another button and their office temperature dropped 10 degrees. Climate control updates, I explained sweetly. Might take a few days to stabilize. Or weeks. Depends on how long it takes you to understand that your lazy daughter now controls your business environment. Mom was shivering now, both from the cold and the realization. We were wrong. Wrong doesn't begin to cover it. I pulled up their company financials on my screen, data I had access to as their landlord. Your firm is barely breaking even. One more rent increase and you'll be operating at a loss. You wouldn't, Dad started. Wouldn't I? Like you wouldn't throw me out for choosing real estate over accounting? Like you wouldn't tell the family I was wasting my potential while I was actually multiplying it. The jackhammer stopped suddenly, leaving a ringing silence. Check your email, I instructed. I've sent over the new lease terms. You have 24 hours to decide. Accept the increase or find new office space. I paused. Though you might have trouble with the second option, since I own most of the viable commercial properties in the area. 23 hours later, I stood in my penthouse office, watching the sunset reflect off the buildings I owned. Each gleaming tower represented a milestone in my journey from lazy disappointment to real estate mogul. The view was worth every moment of their doubt. They're here, my assistant announced. Your parents, Sarah, and their firm's partners. All of them. I raised an eyebrow. Even cousin Mike from their accounting team? Yes. Though they seem unsettled by the lobby directory listing you as owner. I smiled, remembering cousin Mike's particularly vocal criticism of my career choice at family gatherings. Send them up. And activate the executive elevator's maintenance mode. 10 minutes and several unscheduled stops later, they arrived, looking disheveled and uncomfortable. Dad's tie was askew, Mom's hair had wilted, and Sarah's perfect accountant's poise had cracked. Welcome to my office. I gestured to the seating area where the city's entire business district was visible through floor-to-ceiling windows. Or should I say, welcome to the buildings you can see from my office, since I own most of them. Emma, Sarah stepped forward, always the family mediator. We should discuss this reasonably. Reasonably. I pressed a button, and the windows transformed into digital displays showing their firm's financial records. Like how you reasonably supported Dad calling me lazy while you reasonably took my bedroom for your home office. Sarah flinched. The displays showed every payment, every struggle, every financial weakness of Preston and Associates. Your firm is failing, I continued. Not just because of the rent increase, though that certainly doesn't help, but because you're stuck in outdated methods while the world modernizes around you. We have loyal clients, Dad protested weakly. Had loyal clients, I corrected, switching the displays to their client retention data. They're leaving for firms with better technology, modern practices, and, I smiled, offices in my other buildings. Mom sank into a chair, her discount store coffee trembling in her hand. Why didn't you tell us about your success? Tell you. I laughed. Like you told Aunt Linda I was between jobs when I was actually closing my first major property acquisition? Or like you told the neighbors I was still finding my path while I was building the largest real estate empire in the region. I walked to my awards wall, where magazine covers and business accolades chronicled my rise. Each of these represents a moment you missed because you were too busy bragging about Sarah's steady accounting career. We were worried about your future, Dad tried. No, you were worried about your reputation. About having a daughter who didn't fit your narrow definition of success. I turned back to them. Well, congratulations. Your lazy daughter now owns your office, your building, and most of your competitors' buildings too. I pressed another button and more displays descended from the ceiling, showing real-time data from all my properties. See that spike in the graph? That's your electricity consumption when Sarah works late trying to save your failing firm. That dip? That's when Dad leaves early for his golf games, pretending the business isn't collapsing. Cousin Mike stepped forward. Listen, Emma. That's Miss Preston in this office. I cut him off. Or have you forgotten telling everyone I'd never amount to anything at last year's family reunion? He stepped back, properly chastised. Now, I sat behind my desk. Let's discuss your options. Option 1. Accept the rent increase, modernize your practices, and actually earn your place in my building. Option 2. Reject the terms and try finding office space elsewhere. Though good luck with that, since I own or control most viable properties in the business district. There has to be another way, Sarah pleaded. There isn't. Though I'm sure your junior partner salary could cover the rent increase if you wanted to help out. I smiled sweetly. Isn't that what successful daughters do? Dad straightened his tie, attempting to regain some dignity. What exactly do you want? I have what I want. Multiple buildings, billions in assets, and the delicious irony of having my family as struggling tenants. I stood up, walking to the window. But since you asked, I want acknowledgement. Recognition that while you were calling me lazy, I was building something extraordinary. You've made your point, Mom whispered. Have I? Because from where I stand in my penthouse office, overlooking my real estate empire, it seems like you still don't quite grasp the situation. I turned back to them. Your daughter, the one you kicked out for being unmotivated, now controls your business's future. Every lease, every renovation, every financial decision you make is subject to my approval. I pressed another button and their office's security feed appeared on the screens. Right now, the renovations upstairs are causing water damage to your ceiling. Small leak, nothing serious. Yet. But it could get worse if the proper repairs aren't made promptly. You wouldn't, Sarah gasped. Wouldn't I? Like Dad wouldn't throw out his own daughter? Like Mom wouldn't pretend I didn't exist at family functions? Like you wouldn't mock my little real estate hobby to your accounting friends? I distributed tablets showing their new lease terms. You have 2 hours to decide. The rent increase is non-negotiable, but I'm willing to discuss payment terms. Consider it the kind of generosity you never showed me. 2 hours isn't enough time, Dad protested. Really? You gave me 10 minutes to pack my things when you kicked me out. I checked my Rolex. Though I suppose I could extend the deadline for an additional 10% increase. Mom started crying softly. Sarah looked shell-shocked. Cousin Mike was frantically calculating numbers on his phone. Oh, and one more thing, I added. The building's holiday party is next month. As your landlord, I'll be attending. I expect a full public acknowledgement of your mistakes regarding my career choice. You want us to humiliate ourselves? Dad's voice cracked. No, Father. I want you to experience what I felt when you humiliated me. When you told everyone your daughter was too lazy to succeed. When you made me the family cautionary tale. I smiled. Though now I suppose I'm more of a family success story. Isn't that ironic?